Hey guys, it's Alex with Hammond Watch. I'm here today doing a quick state of the collection video for a couple of reasons. The first, I need to test a new microphone. The second, I watched a few of them this year, and it is pretty interesting just to see everybody's different taste and what ends up sticking around in their collection, especially with people that are kind of going through a large amount of watches in a year. We'll start mine off with my most worn watch, and that's the Casio Royale. It's a little digital world time. These run $20-25. I've got it on a Barton Silicone Elite strap, and this is my go-to watch for just anything around the house, yard work. If I wear a watch when I sleep, it's this one. It's extremely light, and I have a hard time with some of the G-Shock squares, the smaller ones, as they have that kind of fixed strap that automatically pushes down. The top of my wrist is pretty flat, and this allows for enough articulation that, for me at least, it's one of the more comfortable pieces that I've experienced. And I do like it so much that I do have a second one. Again, these are so cheap, why not? Obviously, the time needs to be changed on this one. But all in all, I can't recommend these enough. If you've never experienced one, it's $20. I recommend you give it a shot. Then a video I did here recently, I did the Steeldive Willard homage and was really blown away at what they're able to provide. Picked this up on the 11/11 deal. I want to say that the total cost shipped to me from China was $70 or right thereabout. Another one of those watches that I can't recommend enough. I do think that there's probably not a better watch sub $100, and it's really surprising. It gets a lot more wrist time than I originally thought it would. Then I absolutely like to support businesses where they're putting out really good content. Mark at Long Island Watch has been great for the watch community. I've really appreciated what he's done with his Islander watches. And this Orange Monster, I think, is my favorite watch that he's done to date. This is the little bit older one, so it doesn't have the new case back. But all in all, I've had probably half a dozen SRP 309s, that second gen Orange Monster. And honestly, they're so valuable, I tend to end up flipping them. I just won't wear them and beat on them the way that I think that watch should really be treated. And I don't mean purposely abusing your watch. I just felt like I had to be more delicate with a 309. This gives me the ability to wear it and not really think about it and really still get a lot of that aesthetic. And while I'm not a huge homage guy, supporting a brand like Long Island Watch is certainly a big plus for me. Then a watch I recently got for Christmas for my wife, which was pretty cool, the Seiko Tortoise. This one really surprised me. I love the dial. It's actually really nice and glossy. I'll have a review coming out in the next couple of weeks, but great alignment. It being a compass style bezel, you're not as much worrying about the pip as you are the chapter ring, and there weren't really any complaints. The watch did surprise me a little bit with its sizing. It's a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. But for me, I think this is a really cool kind of everyday, almost field watch. All right, so now let's look at, I have the Tissot 165th anniversary manual wind movement. I think that this, as far as a dress watch goes, is one of the better values in watches. And you'll notice value is a pretty common theme. There's so many watches out there. I really like to make sure that I'm getting kind of the most bang for my buck at any price level. I love the big box sapphire on this watch. It is a bit of a big boy. It's quite long. I have a 7.5 to 7.75 inch wrist, so it fits me just fine. If you're a smaller wristed gentleman, though, I'd probably steer clear. It's got a ton of presence, I guess. It's got a really big footprint. The dial feels enormous when it's on your wrist. I think the case size is maybe like 42 millimeters, but I may be wrong. If I am, just feel free to correct me down in the comments below. After that, I have a 40 millimeter Hamilton. This is the brown dial khaki field watch. I love this particular piece. I've reviewed, God, I don't know, probably a dozen Hamiltons over the years, and for some reason just always kept coming back to this color variant. I like that it has the polished bezel. I love the 40 millimeter size and the fact that you have 100 meters of water resistance. I think the Khaki King is an exceptional watch. I just really have a hard time with a field watch that has, 50 meters of water resistance. Not that I'm ever going to swim in it. It just feels kind of silly to feel like a watch that's military inspired is so delicate. Moving on to another almost kind of military style watch, my Citizen, I think it's a Skyhawk. Very much reminiscent of the Nighthawk, but this watch has a sapphire crystal and it is radio controlled. I think that this watch, when it's on sale, is one of the better values that you can get in the watch world. Never having to set the time, 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal, and honestly, the strap is surprisingly good. I actually bought a strap to replace this, and when it came in, I wore it for a couple days, kind of broke it in, and I have no plans of swapping this out unless maybe one day I'm going somewhere where I know that swimming's going to be involved. But for general day-to-day wear, this padded strap is actually phenomenal, and I'll have a video coming out really soon with that particular piece. Now we're going to get into some battery-powered chronographs. The first is a MoonSwatch, and I know it's a bit of a polarizing watch, but at the end of the day, I really thought it was really cool marketing. I don't love how Swatch handled the release, but a buddy of mine was walking past a Swatch store in Miami, popped in, and was able to pick a couple of these up. I got the Sun version primarily because it is the only one with a sunburst dial. One thing I didn't want was the gray or black one. I didn't want to wear a MoonSwatch and feel like I was trying to pass it off as an actual moon watch. So I wanted to get something a little wild, a little funky. The straps on these are pretty awful, so I put it on this nice FKM strap. And to be honest, I don't wear it a ton. It certainly takes the right outfit. But for summertime, I think it's a pretty neat piece. So my next battery-powered chronograph is my Breitling Endurance Pro. This is not a watch that I would ever recommend buying at retail, but I was able to pick it up for an absolute steal. I took the yellow strap off and went with black just to tone it down just a little bit, and I'm really thrilled with how it all came out. You have that nice Breitling blue shine across the crystal with that AR coating, which I'm always a huge fan of until it gets scratched. And in general, just a fun, lightweight piece. It's got some good brand recognition. It certainly does the job. But in general, I think they are a bit overpriced, even in the used market. But a pretty fun piece nonetheless. All right, down to my last three. We've got the Omega Seamaster. For me, this is kind of king of the hill as far as value propositions go. There's not much that a Submariner does that the Omega doesn't. And to be honest with you, I kind of get tired of them getting compared to each other. I think one watch has a lot more visual interest and a lot more cool detail going on, and the other can be a little bit, I don't want to say boring because it is such a nice classic design. It's just not for me. I think the Seamaster is superior when it comes to its aesthetic. I think that the Rolex is probably a little bit better in the bracelet department now that they've kind of done away with their taper. But all in all, another piece that I would absolutely recommend. This gets a lot of wrist time, and for good reason. I think that, again, there's just not much to complain about or dislike with this watch. Next, I have a 1601. This is a birth year Rolex for me. It's 36 millimeters. I do wear it. Only really in formal occasions. I don't mind wearing a smaller watch. It's got some over polishing on it, but in general, I think it was really cool. I bought it when my daughter was born, and it's something that I'll pass down to her for her 16th birthday, as long as, she has her stuff together and grades are going well. But I think it's an incredibly nice, classy watch. This strap was a prototype. I was looking at starting my own line of straps. Never really followed through with it, but love the way this kind of pebbled leather came out. And it'll be really exciting to let this watch go one day. I think she's absolutely going to love it. And I think especially for a woman, nowadays I see more and more kind of the boyfriend style watch where they wear a little bit chunkier pieces. So I think 36 millimeters is really going to be a sweet spot. The last watch in the collection is kind of a special one, but definitely not worth any money. This was my dad's watch. When we originally moved to Florida, weren't in the best position financially. He got a job at a Ford dealership or a Lincoln Mercury dealership where he ended up becoming general manager, and it really kind of changed the trajectory of our family and put in tons of hard work. They did a promo with extended service plans, which is that ESP. He won the whatever sales competition they had going on and was gifted this watch and wore it pretty much every day of my childhood. He's still alive. I just bought him a couple of watches, so this one was just sitting around his house, and he ended up giving it to me. It's a watch that I put on and wear sometimes when maybe I'm not feeling like getting up and getting after it that day. Look down and just think about all the hard work that he put in, and it kind of helps to propel me forward. The crystal's all scratched up, the bezel insert as well. The bezel doesn't move. I took the bracelet off because it's absolutely beat. There's, gold plating rubbed off in many areas, but it's something that certainly means a lot to me, and it'll always have a spot in my collection. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing. Try to put watch content out weekly at a minimum, and hope to see you in the next one.